gonna head into the next worst neighborhood in the Las Vegas metro area.
Oh, by
The area we're heading
Pecos.
to is here, a few miles west from the first part of town we just saw. Again, right off of
Another area nearby where my parents used to live.
Lake Mead Boulevard.
Now, this is kind of run down. And a lot of these areas get run down because of places like Summerlin, because of places like Southern Highlands. Southern Highlands are literally just a bunch of neighborhoods that like celebrities and like rich people live in, like liberal California trash, basically. They're neighborhoods that are housing is starting like, you know, from 2 million to 10 million, basically. And what happened is that a lot of the attention that the city started giving to those places, and it started to wane in areas like this. These are very, like, as you can see from a lot of these stores, this is very heavily Hispanic, Latino areas. So there's a lot of generational wealth from Latino families that exist in areas like this. And these are, like, hard-ass working fucking people. Hard-ass working people.
Also where a lot of crime happens and where poverty's really bad.
These people work their asses off, motherfucker. What the fuck?
Maybe these parts of town are so bad because people are...
Whoa, whoa, Mappy, put your mask on. Okay, now what?
What is this?
I can't understand you, Mappy.
Maybe if I ever see this guy in person, I'll kick him in the fucking nuts and just go on about my day. Because you're a piece of fucking shit that does not have the right to judge other people, you fucking asshole.
Give people an idea, like, you've lived there for 20 years. Give people an idea.
If you live there for 20 years, you better rip this guy a new asshole, and if you don't, I'm gonna fucking really get pissed off. Look at this fucking dipshit. This guy looks exactly like I thought he would look like. Look at this fucking guy. Look at this fucking tool.
On like the type of stuff that
this literally looks like really close to where I used to live. This is what most normal neighbors. Now, see, the ones we looked at previous, you're at the ass end of Las Vegas. You're like right by Nellis. You're right now in the middle of the desert practically. This is closer to what's more familiar to me. This looked like my mom's neighborhood right here.
You will see in some bad Las Vegas hoods.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff you'll see is just like, you know, a lot of homeless people walking around.
Where are the homeless people?
You know, people just kind of hanging out in the street, you know, like...
Yeah, because those are their fucking homes.
You know, mean mugging you when you drive by or whatever.
I'd mean mug some fucking cocksucker driving by my house sticking a fucking camera in my face too.
And...
yeah, you know, so I was out there banging Miss Piggy in the yard, and this guy, like, mean mugged me, you know, and I was like, ah! Shut up, Kermit. What are you, Jordan Peterson? Not to mention, Mexico is incredible in the automotive industry, so the next time this judging dipshit needs his car fixed, I hope he gets his car sabotaged to where he needs constant repairs. Well, you know what, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, the guy that my granddad would go to was Mexican. He was a fucking automotive genius. He could fix fucking anything. He barely spoke a word of English, but he was like a genius with engines. He could fix fucking anything, and he had a good business he was running out of his home. You know, yes, it was in one of these neighborhoods. And yeah, it was kind of dodgy to some people. Didn't know that was his business because he had a bunch of cars in the yard, but those were cars that he was working on. And it wasn't just like anybody's rundown Camry and shit. He had expensive vehicles out there because people who knew what was good would take their good cars there too. I shit you not, one day when my granddad had to get his carburetor looked at, we drove down there, and there was a motherfucking Lotus, like, sitting outside that the guy was working on. Like, a fucking Lotus. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Those are fucking premium cars, dude. Those are, like, rich boomer cars. I mean, I'm a car guy, so I like them because I like cars. But, yeah, those are, like, expensive as fuck. You're looking at anywhere $300,000, $400,000 starting one of those fucking pieces of shit.
Yeah, generally, like, maybe, like, a lot of, like, broken down cars and stuff in the road.
These are fucking cars people drive. And a lot of them are in the fucking yards and stuff like that because more than one person who drives lives in the same house.
But But yeah, like you said, I guess, maybe the worst neighborhoods in Vegas aren't quite as bad as some of the other ones around the country, but...
No, they're not. And I don't like when you take a dump on people who are working hard, like any of you are superior. Like a house like this one that was right on the corner right there. Like this one with the white truck and the red van that's in it. These are like average people.
That is some of the other ones around the country, but...
And one thing that's making a lot of these neighborhoods, by the way, run down more so than ever is, if you notice right over here, are these big block apartments. So more people are moving to these because they're fucking affordable, and they're not really great, by the way. And having lived in a few during my time there, they're pretty shit. And especially for what they make you pay. They make you pay more than what I'm paying for this fucking place. More people are not just wanting to fucking do the whole mortgage thing. They're not wanting to really settle down on something anymore. They're moving to these, and then it's dumping the equity in these areas down, and it's just, it's the same thing that's happening out here in the South. Just mass apartments being built left and right. Not enough people to live in them, but more people are going to move to them anyway because then their housing goes up and they can't afford it.
It's dangerous in a way, after the sun goes down or whatever, it's probably just as dangerous to be out there as it would be.
Bullshit! How many walk and talks did I motherfucking do in the middle of the night at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 3 in the fucking morning, and how many times did I ever get the fuck accosted? Not fucking one. Not motherfucking one. Not one time in years of doing that, just walking down the street with an expensive-ish camera, okay, bitching to the fucking wind about whatever the fuck was on my mind, and not a single person stopped me. I would walk down streets exactly like this. I would walk down streets exactly like this at fucking 3 in the morning, and not a single person fucking came up to me to fuck with me because nobody was out there. Bullshit. That's bullshit. The only fucking time I ever walked anywhere in recent memory and somebody accosted me was about a month and a half ago. I don't even know if I told you guys about this. I was walking back. I was out and about. I'm not going to get into what was really what was going on, but I was walking somewhere. I was on the fucking phone. A group of kids came toward me. They were about anywhere from the group looked like the aging range was from 17 to like 23. It was about 8 people. One of them comes out of the group. The rest of them had already passed me on the street. And one of them comes up. I think he was going to ask me. I thought he was going to ask me for change or ask me for a cigarette or something. It's just like I don't have either, And instead, as I'm on the phone, I'm like, yes. And he just fucking socks me in the fucking face. He hits me so fucking hard that he busts my fucking glasses and it busted my face. He actually slightly fractured 3 of my sinuses and deviated the shit out of my septum. Busted my glasses. That's what caused basically a big abrasion on my fucking face. So the glasses that I have now are actually not the ones I used to have. I had nice Oakleys. I had to get these cheap insurance ones. And I was living out here. And this was in the middle of the fucking day. And if it weren't for the fact that he was backed up for like 8 of his fucking friends, believe me, I would have taken off on this motherfucker. And you all know that I would. But I'm not going to fight a fight that I can't fucking win. All right? I'm not going to fight a fight. I got the fuck out of there like a stupid bitch. And I feel like a bitch for doing it. But I'm not going to fight. I'm not John Wick, dude. I'm not going to take on like, 8 fucking people. It's ridiculous. It's just like, fuck that shit. It's not worth it. Then I get my ass stomped into the ground, possibly killed. It's not fucking worth it. That was living out here in the middle of the fucking day. I walked down streets like this at 3 in the fucking morning. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody was out there. Nothing fucking happened.
Yeah, well, I live here for 20 years. So, Trump wants to send all those real mean bean people back. We got to build that wall. These people are all poor. They don't work as hard as us whites.
Probably anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck he did it for. What my speculation was is that there was this trend going around on social media platforms a few years back called the knockout game, and they would try to tag somebody and get it filmed, and they would put it on like World Star or some shit like that. But the thing is, I've been in so many fucking fights in my life that he wasn't going to knock my ass out. And not only that, his dumbass fucking missed hitting where he's supposed to hit you. He wants to hit you like basically in the... It's like in the back of the head, kind of the temple, but I turned around and he socked me in the fucking face. And believe me, like I said, if it was just him, I would have taken the fuck off. I had this jacket on, and I before I put all these patches on it, you know, because well, they would have come flying off. I ripped that shit off. I was ready to go. I fucking chucked my phone to the side, and I was like, come on. And I saw that shit. I was like, yeah, I'm out of here. You know, fuck that shit. I would have taken off on his fucking ass, believe me. I don't give a fuck. You don't do that shit to somebody. And I was living out here. In neighborhoods like this, nobody gives a fuck to do that stupid shit. Everybody knows they're fucking neighbors. What are you gonna do? You're gonna fucking pull that bullshit and get away with it? No. When I lived in my old neighborhood in Las Vegas, some stupid kid tried to fucking start some shit from another neighborhood with one of my friends, and that didn't go well at all. I think it was 1 year somebody tried fucking with my friend Sam. He was literally just down the street from me a little bit. Me and him were fucking around on our skateboards or whatever. Some stupid kid came up. He started pushing him around, and literally fucking everybody was just like, all my friends, everybody else, they came out of their houses and shit. And they were like, go ahead, fuck with him, see where the fuck it gets you. You don't pull that shit. People have each other's backs.
Yeah.
In some of the neighborhoods I lived in with my parents, that shit would have never fucking flown. Because my parents, because they had to live where they could afford, they lived in a lot of like higher representation of like Latino homes. They lived in some neighborhoods where there was a higher representation of black families, more than there were white or Latinos or Asians or anybody else. And, you know, how fucking quickly do you think that shit would have gone off the rails there? Motherfucking kid would have gotten his ass whooped by everybody in the neighborhood because it's a bad reflection on the fucking neighborhood. So don't go fucking say stupid shit like this, Mr. Kermit the Frog. I'm sorry, but this shit pisses me off. This triggered the fuck out of me.
Super high in the places I went to. But yeah, during the daytime, not a lot of people outside, lots of bars on windows, lots of bars.
Not a lot of people outside in the daytime, and it's always like that in places like this, or as long as I'd ever lived there. And in the summertime, depending on, like I said, when you film this, it's hotter than fuck. It's like 115 some summers. Who the fuck wants to go out in that? Oh, look, it's 125 with like 90% humidity. I'm going to go out and take a walk, and I'm going to melt every step. Fuck that shit. 1 year when I was a kid, it was 130 in Vegas. It was the absolute hottest it had ever gotten. It was absolutely insane. It was insane. I was over at my friend, again, I think I was over at Sam's house, and no, it was Charlie's, and I got dared to go out and just stand out that shit for a minute. It's just to see how long we could take it. And I was the one that pulled the short straw. Dude, it was insane. It was insane. It felt like the air itself was like on fire.
On fences, lots of rough looking spots, but you know, during the daytime it's fine to like drive through some of these places. So like what kind of stuff do you hear about like at night? Do you hear a lot of crime reports? Do you hear on the news? Like what kind of stuff goes down in some of the places I went to?
Nothing. But let Kermit here tell you.
So there's a lot
This guy, oh God, I would have loved if he interviewed me. I would have not made it easy for him.
of really weird crimes that go on here.
Yeah.
Oddly,
So this morning I woke up and rolled out of bed and swallowed a bullfrog.
like during the pandemic, there was a lot of like
Yeah.
people murdering their own children, and oddly enough, you know, those stories don't get
Can you quote one? Can you show me a link to that? What the fuck?
national attention or anything, which is crazy. But I noticed it was happening quite a few times during the pandemic.
Ooh, look at that classic fucking Jeep this guy's got right here. And I like the bike that's in front of it. That's nice. That's one of the weirdest things about Nevada is that people like to collect like classic vehicles. The problem is they never fucking work on them for the most part, and in yards like these, not like the mechanics I was talking about and shit. There was one year I went down. I was looking at I think it was like a Fat Boy Harley that somebody wanted to get rid of, But it needed too much work to be worth it. And then there was another guy who actually had a Yamaha that was actually really, really nice. But again, it needed more money than I had to put into it. One of the neighbors around the corner from where my grandma lived when I was growing up with them had a classic Jeep, like straight out of like, it was like a surplus military Jeep he got. It looked like it was straight out of like, I think around the Vietnam era. It was really, really cool. He put a lot of restoration into it. So for whatever reason, there's a lot of people with classic vehicles in it. It's a nice little box Jeep.
Yeah, and basically, yeah, tons, like a lot of like violent crime, oddly enough.
Yeah.
You know, one weekend, I believe there was like 9 stabbings in a weekend here like a couple of years ago. And, yeah.
Yeah, that was not 9 stabbings in one weekend. You know what? I know exactly what he's talking about. That was a guy who got fucked up on the strip, and he stabbed 9 people. He was mentally ill, and he'd been freebasing cocaine for like 3 days. Why don't you actually watch the fucking news in your town, you stupid fucking dipshit?
Say it's probably, you can attribute that
I
stuff
know exactly what he's talking about. It was a big thing for a minute back there.
to like gang violence, I would say, like a lot of it, or, you know, to like, you know, drug related.
This literally looks like right off of Pyramid Drive, where my fucking mom used to live with my dad in my mom's place after they passed away. This literally does. This literally looks like if I drove down the street, I would literally see it sitting right there on that side of the street, like over here.
Stuff. Yeah, I don't think there's like, you know, as much like, you know, property crime here, but probably more like violent crime, I would say.
How would you not know? You lived there for 20 years, I thought you said.
Just from what you see on the news a lot. Although,
Is this how stupid human beings are becoming? Is this literally a representation of like the average intelligence decline of humans? Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away? Oh, God.
you know, they're
Helen Ripley, I feel your pain.
like, well, I don't know, during the pandemic, crime went up so much here too. Like, you know, there's like tons of like vehicle theft and vehicle break-ins and stuff like that.
That happens in every major city. Again, 2 million people live there.
Yeah, so I mean, it pretty much all crime is up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, crime was up across the country during the pandemic and hasn't really gone down since at all.
Yeah, it has, depending on the type of crime you're talking about.
And yeah, the north end, you know, north of, I guess, Lake Mead Boulevard.
Ew, 49ers fan. Sorry.
Like all that up there, it's like the most violent place in the state statistically for...
No, it's fucking not. Like I said, at the very beginning of this fucking spurg I've been going on about this place, one of the most violent places was in those alphabet streets. They're called the Alphabet Soup, and they're right off of motherfucking Martin Luther King. Right when you turn down that, I think right when you get past, you get near that Maryland Parkway, there's an area right down there. It's like, what is that neighborhood called in Training Day? It's literally like the jungle in Training Day, like that neighborhood. It is bad. That's where a lot of bad shit goes down. It's a low-income area. There's a lot of crime in that area, and it's where the cops send a lot of the rookies in all the time to cut their teeth because there's a lot of property crime that happens there. There's a lot of vandalism that happens there, but there's a lot of assault and armed robbery that happens in those areas too. None of that shit happens for the most part up in these areas because fucking this is just where regular ass fucking neighborhoods are. They're not really besieged with a lot of that because these people are either independently running businesses like AC repair, which is a huge business out there. It's this fucking idiot. This dumb motherfucker didn't do any research, and it just bugs me because this is my hometown and I still have a bit of love for it.
And stabbings and assaults and all that stuff, man. It just goes off at night.
No, it doesn't. I used to live in a neighborhood where there were 3 shootings a night. That was North Stats up in North Las Vegas, and that was in the early 90s. But you wouldn't go there because you wouldn't know to go there because you didn't do your research. You want to know where there are bad places? There are bad places in Vegas, believe me, but they're not where you're driving.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's like a lot of trailer parks out there. Like,
Yeah.
not to say anything bad about the people that live in trailer parks, but generally,
Yeah, you better know better. I'll tell you what.
yeah, the trailer
Holy shit, look at how many solar panels this fucking building has.
parks in Vegas are not the safest places to be, I don't think.
I mean, if you like crystal meth, maybe, I don't know.
No.
And they're huge too. They're just like, you know, the size of small cities, basically. There's whole areas that are just trailer parks here.
Some of those people are people that hunker down with like RVs and stuff, and some of them are like tiny home people that just want to basically put their tiny home on something. So it's not really, I would say, in some of those areas, totally trailer parks. It's more like they're more like people who are like weird. My mom knew some of these people. They're like yuppie nomads and stuff. It's an interesting
Now, in a minute, we're going to go to
group.
the third worst part of Las Vegas. But honestly, it all kind of just looks the same. Based on the...
But there's the only true thing I think you've said so far is that Vegas all kind of looks the same.
driving I did that day, I can say this is where it's bad in the greater Las Vegas metro area.
So the entire fucking state, or the state, the entire city for the most part.
And this is where it's good.
Are you fucking shitting me? Are you shitting me? So it's only good exactly where I thought you would think it was good. In fucking suburbia, yuppieville, fucking Summerlin, where it's just a bunch of tech entrepreneur wealth getting pumped in up there. You fuck. And the same thing happens down here in Henderson. Henderson is, by the way, not as bad as people fucking make it out to be. I know plenty of people that fucking live in Henderson. It's fine. You know. So, like, the majority of the entire fucking city, except for the fucking suburbs where you can't even afford to fucking buy a house if you're a normal-ass person, you know, even some of the houses up there are, like, approaching $1 million. Like, if you want something that looked about the size of where he was driving around, but you want it in Summerlin, where he was driving around, you're looking at, you know, maybe 189,000 to maybe 300, okay? Up in Summerlin, the same size thing is fucking 700 to 900 and up. All right, it's the same thing. It's the same fucking thing. I had some friends from high school that lived up in those areas. One of my fucking exes lived up in that fucking shithole. And I call it a shithole. I mean, it's nice to drive through. It looks nice, but it's all fucking owned by super, super wealthy boomers, and they basically developed it to just look nice. I mean, it's still got the same kind of problems anywhere else does. It's just developed to artificially look nice. You got little lakes in Summerlin. They're like man-made little lakes and stuff. You know, little grassy areas in between some of the neighborhoods or whatever. I mean, it's, you've got like the amenity of like gated communities, but they're like open and drivable and around and stuff. So it's like, yes, that's going to be nicer, but only a smaller percentage of people fucking actually live up there compared to the greater Las Vegas area. So what the fuck? It's surprising. The place that actually has more equity of wealth income just actually has a nicer look to it. Who would have fucking known?
That's not a good ratio. Now, I did visit...
It's called Summer... No, it's even dumber. It's called Summerlin. Summerlin. Are you shitting me?
south side of town, too, down by the Cashman Center and down by UNLV, and it's pretty bad down there, too. You just kind of get used to it. And here's an area where there's a lot of homeless people gathered.
Yeah, you want to know why? Because there's a homeless shelter right on the other side of the street.
See a lot of that driving around near downtown, too.
Because there's a homeless shelter on the other side of the street. I know exactly where the fuck this is. I was homeless for a minute out there. It was not fun, by the way. Being homeless in a big city like Las Vegas is not fun. That was a nightmare, and I cannot believe my fucking family threw me out of the goddamn house and did that to me without any fucking sort of remorse. That is something I will not forgive. I try to forgive a lot of the bullshit that happened, but yeah, no, there's a big Salvation Army homeless shelter, so if you were to look to the left, you'd see a bunch of rundown buildings and stuff. On the other side of that, there's a big-ass fucking homeless shelter. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of homeless people that are this deeply homeless milling the fuck around because they're waiting basically for the shelter to open in the fucking morning or in the evening so they can get their food, lay down for a while, do whatever the fuck. It looks like that in places. There's a few of them around there. There's a couple of state-run homeless shelters. There's a couple of Salvation Army ones as well. And anywhere that's around those areas, it looks like this. What did you fucking expect?
But the final area we're going to go to now is in this part of town over by Jerry's Nugget. Again, just south of Lake Mead Boulevard. Are we seeing a pattern here? The area near Jerry's Nugget is well known by...
Who the fuck even goes down there anymore? Is there anything that even happens in there? I'm actually surprised there are still businesses that are even able to be open.
locals as being a rundown and dangerous place.
I think at a certain point I have to accept the fact that I'm just a West Coast Cobes.
People in Vegas...
I'm that white trash. I'm that... No. Even though Cobes is one of the few lolcows that I have a bit of respect for. He's crazy, but he's not as bad as some of the others that are out there.
Haven't really gone into this neighborhood and seen what it looks like. So is crime getting worse in Las Vegas overall? You've been there.
So you went and talked shit about a place you didn't even fucking go to. And also, it's kind of rough around that area because I believe that's where CCDC lets out most of the people from jail. So yeah, it's going to be rough.
Sorry.
So what did even... I wasn't even paying attention to this fuck.
Jerry's Nugget. Again, just south of Lake Mead Boulevard. Are we seeing a pattern here? The area near Jerry's Nugget is well known by locals as being a rundown and dangerous place, but most people in Vegas haven't really gone into this neighborhood and seen what it looks like.
A lot of people go there, and you want to know why? Because that's the fucking municipal district where they have courts, where they have fucking DMV, where they have a whole bunch of other municipal places. All right? Not many people live around that area, but there's a lot of municipal shit down there. It's not too far from where I had to go to court a few times when my stupid fucking ass fucked up when I was younger. I believe, like, when the first time I got locked up, because obviously I've lived a rough and unscrupulous life, they let me out around there. They basically... So when I got released with, like, 4 other guys, and they basically dropped us off from a van over there, and when I got bonded, I had to call the bonding agency and be like, I'll be there in a minute because I have no fucking idea where I am, because they decided to dump us all off over here. So, funny enough, we all had to, like, work our way back because we all basically had gotten bonded by the same place. It was when my granddad basically had a huge argument with me, and months later it bit me in the ass. I made a big video about it, fucking, but whatever. It's like, yeah, it'll be somewhat rough in those areas because that's where cops like to drop you off. They don't give a fuck.
So is crime getting worse in Las Vegas overall? You've been there 20 years. What was it like 20 years ago and for crime and some of the hoods I went to versus now?
This man's face is swallowing his chin.
Oh.
It's probably a lot worse now. I think the reason it's worse now, like, it's definitely worse now than it used to be. I think that you can say that's probably from, the increase in population. The last, I would say, last 10 years, like, population's probably doubled or something. And a lot of the people that move here are from California, and like tons of...
How can you live in a place for 20 years and have this reductive of a take?
Like violent, like gang members and stuff from...
Okay, I want to make a statement here about houses like this with these big ass like fortifications around them. Do you have any idea how much these go for? So in neighborhoods like this was always one of the weirdest things to me. And this actually happened in the neighborhood I grew up in. You'd have like, okay, let him turn the corner a little bit more. Okay, so you'll have a house like this. Let's say, for example, this is probably like 189,000, 250,000, 300,000 tops. This thing next door is going for like $700,000, $800,000, where everything else in the neighborhood is nowhere near that, and it's just such a much huger property. It's weird. There's always like one of these places that's damn near $1 million in all one of these fucking neighborhoods.
A lot of them
These are not like run down places.
Actually, I
never understood that. My neighborhood had one of those at the end of the street like that. Then right across from it, it's like the whole deep south centralized into one person's yard. But nobody in the neighborhood liked those people. They were assholes. They were white trash, and that's coming from me. Like, they were fucking dicks to, like, everybody. I don't understand what was wrong with that fucking family.
Pandemic, like, there was all this violence on the strip.
Thank God they didn't live there long.
There was just crazy, like, people, like, shootings and stabbings and all kinds of crazy stuff, like way more than usual.
Because it's the fucking Strip. What do you think happens when you take a bunch of people all from different areas and cultures in the country and you put them somewhere where they can fuck off their money and get fucked up drunk as much as they want to and start like really letting their behavioral proclivities for normality slide? Dude, there was a fucking GTA like shootout like about 7 years ago on the Strip when some fucking weirdo got a hold of an AR and started driving a taxi cab around. It was fucking nuts. It's the Strip. Shit like that happens. Does it represent like the entire state of the whole fucking goddamn city? No. People are gonna do crazy shit. People are.
And I think a lot of that was just, you know, people from California coming here and just going
It's
crazy.
people from all over the country. The guy who did that was from fucking Michigan.
You know, like on
California
their
people
vacation
ruining
and
more
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, California people ruining more fucking stuff when they come into these fucking huge wealth income areas like fucking Summerlin, like motherfucking Southern Heights. They pump in all their stupid fucking liberal bullshit and then in economically downturn areas of the fucking city like this. Shut up, you pretentious fuck. I'm almost done with this video. This is actually pissing me off.
Yeah. Stay out of Vegas, California people.
Stay out of California. I'll say that. Fuck California.
Do you ever go into any of these hoods, like at all? Like, have you ever,
Hoods. I'll show you hoods, motherfucker.
I mean, accidentally, like, is there a reason for the average person to go in there and drive around?
Because they live there.
Unless you're looking for weed?
I would not ever go to anywhere that looked like this for weed because I knew where to get weed, and it was nowhere that looked anywhere like this for a while until I realized that all of my friends were potheads, and then I was going way out of my way for weed that I didn't need to. That was my mistake.
Yeah, no, I've been to these neighborhoods every now and then.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you got
I crawled out of the swamp one day and went to them.
to drive through them or whatever. And
Nah.
I've actually, you know, lived in some not so great neighborhoods myself. So,
Dude, wow, look at this guy's... Wow, this is neat. What is he doing? Hang on, what's going on with this place? This is
I've
kind of
actually,
neat.
You know, lived in some not so great neighborhoods myself.
What's going on with this one? I like that, right out in the front. That's a kind of a neat little construction he's got right there. What the fuck is this guy building? I like that. That's... God, I really don't want to stalk somebody on Google Maps. I don't know when this guy filmed this, but I'd like to see what this became. That's kind of neat. It looks like he's trying to build like an outdoor garden and stuff, and then he's got one kind of going right here, too.
So,
Look at how covered up the front of that is. That's awesome. What is that? Is he trying to build like an outdoor loft on the front of his patio? That's actually kind of cool. That's actually kind of cool to me. I love how covered up the front of that is. It's just nice and shady and shit. And you need that out there, man. Believe me. It's like a mini villa. Yeah. That's kind of neat. It looks like the neighbor next door is doing the same thing, too. Wolf, look at that avalanche. That's some straight out of 2003 shit. Wow. I can't believe I actually wanted one of those when I was younger.
I mean, you
I
know,
wanted to get one of those and just shred it out with off-road shit, and then I found out they're not particularly great trucks.
they're, you know, living there is generally, well, the neighborhood I lived in wasn't too bad, but, yeah, there's definitely way
This guy has absolutely nothing to say. Why the fuck did you interview him?
worse neighborhoods. But, you know, like, you know, you see stuff on, you know, Craigslist or whatever, or you want, you know, you want to go like,
Bruce, I'm actually familiar with this area. I used to be around here too because of where my parents lived.
maybe buy something on OfferUp or whatever, and sometimes, you know, they're in those neighborhoods and you get to get a first-hand look at what's going on there.
Yeah, I get to see all the gross, filthy poor people. They smell. You don't smell if you're rich.
Mm-hmm. Like, what do you see when you go in there to exchange goods?
Well, you know, usually people, a
Jesus.
lot of people just kind of loitering, you know, like,
Where do they get the same fencing like this? This was even in my neighborhood. I bet it's literally the same guy. I bet it's literally like the same contractor that just does this. It's just like this one super rich dude who's done like this fencing everywhere.
hanging out in their front yard and stuff.
That's what people do.
You know, a lot of people are just kind of pacing around in the street, maybe aimlessly, you know, like up and down the street, you know, looking crazy at everybody and like, you know, yelling at cars that drive by and stuff. I mean, that happens quite a bit too. Like,
Yeah, this poor neighborhood where this guy can afford this custom V8 fucking Toyota Tundra.